All right, excuse the mess, cables everywhere, but we're preparing to remove this from the 𝗡𝗢𝗵𝗲𝗃. That's besides the point. The point is, this is the problem. You see this? It looks like it's starting to fall out anyway. We have new ones. This is what they look like. They're just little rubber bushings. I'll put a link in the description, but that's the issue with modding the T-LCM pedals. These bushings lasted about, I want to say about 6 months, 8 months. So yeah, every year you're gonna have to replace these, probably once or twice at least. I do, I don't know, on average maybe 4 races a week. These don't really last long. You know, if you figure every 6 months I'm having to replace them, which is probably a little bit short, to be honest. I think they last longer. I think these ones actually pushed closer to like 9 months, maybe 10 months. So yeah, I'm gonna get this off and replace them, and I'll show you how I do that. So I'm getting underneath here, and we're just gonna pull this off and we'll see. All right, so I pulled off the 4 bolts, 2 there, I have 2 over here anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lift it, tilt it. So this is what I'm talking about right here. This will tighten or loosen the brake pedal. All right, now we can take a good look at it. We have the underside here. This is kind of awkward, but so if you could see, there's no play in the pedal. Look, there's no play in the pedal. The pedal, it stays, it's good. There's no wiggle. It wiggles left and right a bit, but that's it. So if you want to loosen that, what you would do is stick an Allen key in here and go left or right. If you go left, see, watch, I'm going to go left a bunch. Okay, now look. See how much room this gave this? Look at this. Do you see that? As I tighten it, do you see this? Look at this right here. You could see it's going into this little pocket, which is where it needs to be, right? Because there's room, so we just keep tightening until it hits that perfect threshold. And what you can do is you could go into the T-LCM calibration tool. I'll put a link down below too. You could monitor it while it's plugged in. Make sure it's plugged in, of course, while you're doing this. Plug it in when it's safe to do so. Tighten it slowly. As you start tightening it, you'll see in the calibration tool, it'll start to, you'll start to see the braking pressure start to hit. You'll see that because it's bringing this closer and it's putting pressure on the load cell here, which is what you want. So basically, tightening this removes any play or wiggle that you'll have in the pedal, but you don't want to tighten it too much because then you'll start to compress on the load cell, and then you'll start to get a braking input without braking. So you'll have to add a dead zone if that's the case, or you could back off on the tightening a little bit, right? One or the other. If you have wiggle room and you want it just tight and you want it locked down, you could tighten this as much as you want, really. To be honest, I would advise against it because it'll put more pressure on the bushings and everything here, and the load cell will always have pressure on it. But you can do that, and you could then add a dead zone to the brake in the software again, like I said. So anyway, I'm gonna loosen this. Okay, this is how we're gonna remove this. And loosening this, it doesn't matter. You don't need to loosen it to remove this. It makes it easier, okay? But I'm gonna have to tighten it anyway because that will calibrate how much wiggle room this has. So for instance, with this, we could see, let me get this out of here. Okie dokie. We could see here, okay, so let's start removing this. So this is the first piece. This comes with the pedals. You know what piece this is. If you have it, hang on to that. Don't ever lose that. That's your whole locking mechanism here. Skateboard bushing. And then we have a single washer. We have that bushing, and you could see This bushing's actually fine, but you could actually, well, it's not actually, you could see. But yeah, you could see it's like kind of burning in a way, right? As the friction is hitting it on that bar, this bar here, it's kind of burning the rubber, right? Because the rubber's kind of pushing against it this way or this way, whatever. And it's, as it's sliding up and down, it starts to cause issues anyway. We have another washer, and look at this one. Look at this one. Look at what it's doing to this. Are you seeing this? It's not even in the hole anymore. It created a new hole. So let's remove that. So that's what will happen to these. These will start to basically melt. So we're just going to keep removing this down to the load cell, and we'll remove the dirt, and this last bushing we'll take off, and we'll clean the bushings, we'll clean the washers with some rubbing alcohol to make sure that they are dry and cleaned of all this rubber that's coming off. And we're going to clean our rod because it's quite dirty with all of this rubber stuff coming off. I love the TLCM pedals. I think they're great. I think this mod is great, but this isn't designed from a fundamental standpoint. This isn't designed to carry these bushings. It's not designed to carry these bushings. It's not designed to carry any bushings. So it's a spring-loaded brake pedal. It's supposed to be for springs. So this is a mod, obviously. So it's understandable that it's going to have some functionality issues. You're going to have some maybe different kind of maintenance if you want to maintain the TLCMs with the rubber bushings, if you're going that route. I'm continuing to do it, obviously, as long as I have these pedals. It's not ideal. The reason I'm not personally using the red springs, I tried double red springs. They're the hardest springs you could put on this that come with the pedals. And the preload, I removed the preload with the 5 or 6 washers, whatever you do. I've done it all. I've tried making this the best it can be with the default springs, and it just doesn't work because the hardest springs you could put in here still don't allow you to get 100% braking force on the load cell without bottoming out the springs. What would end up happening is I would put down about 70 kilograms of braking force, which these go up to 100. So I would put down about 74, 75 kilograms, and my spring would be completely bottomed out, which means I would have no more feel in the brake pedal because it would be pushed all the way to the end and it would be stiff like this, you know, there would be no more movement. So going from 75 kilograms all the way up to 100 kilograms, which is what the load cell's capable of, it wasn't giving any movement on the pedal, which means I wasn't having any basically feedback on the pedal. So that's why the bushings are good, because the bushings allow you to continue to press the pedal and get that feel, that linear feel. And the bushings, you know, it'll let you hit that 100% kilogram threshold on the load cell without bottoming out the bushings, right? Because they don't really bottom out in a way, depending on the consistency of them, right? If they're harder, you'll feel them maybe bottom out sooner or something. The brake will be really stiff, and by bottom out I mean the brake will just be really stiff. Some people like that. These are still really stiff, but they still give a little bit of a squishy feel to them, up to 100% braking force. So that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm dealing with this. If you all want to do this, check links down below. I will continue to do the installation, and I'll show you what it looks like once it's all complete here. Okay, I'm back. We actually removed the rod from the load cell. Be careful with the load cell. It's a delicate piece. So there's a little cable in there, and there's 2 little rings. I'll put the rings here so you can see them maybe better on the white. So what happens is the rings will sit on this. This is the rod, okay? Make sure the rod is nice and clean. I actually used some rubbing alcohol to clean it up nicely, because this is what everything is going to be sliding on All right, so I have everything kind of cleaned up. This is my clean section. I'm going to be reusing this stuff. So we have our washers and everything here in our bushings. These are the old bushings and all the like debris and stuff that fell off as I'm cleaning it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our rod right here, and we're going to put these little loopies, they're little plastic loopies. They just go on either side of the rod here, on the left and right. And this allows the rod to pivot and swing, because the rod will swing as you're braking. And we're going to put that rod, let's see if I can, oh god, one of the rings fell off. Let's put it back. You just kind of rest it in there. It pops in and we could swing it up, okay? We want to get this on it, so what I'm going to do is actually, we're going to do this crazily. No, we're not. I'll be back. All right, we're back. So I opened up, this is my new packet of bushings. This is my old packet of bushings. There are some spares. What the bushings, they come with, let's put these back. It was like this, and then there was one that I got from the old pack. So this is a medium one. There's 3 different sizes. There's small, these are all small. Then there's large, these are all large. And then there's medium, these are all medium. And that's the thickness of them. So these are the 3 old ones. So that's the new one. And you could see it kind of like they kind of get a little compressed, right, over time. These are the 3 new ones we're going to be using. So what we're going to do is put on a skateboard bushing. So we're going to put on one of these. There was one that was more dirty, I think, that was on the bottom. This one's at the bottom. We're going to keep the bottom one at the bottom. So boom, we drop that on top of the load cell. The load cell is nice and fitted in there. Then we're going to use a medium, or a large bushing, or a washer. So we're going to put down a washer, and then we're going to put down the large bushing, another washer, and then we're going to put on the medium bushing. Then we're going to put down another washer. Surprising, I know. And then we're going to put on another washer, the larger one again, so it goes large, medium, large, and washers in between each bushing, and then another washer, right? And then we're gonna put our skateboard bushing on again. The bottom one is this way, the top one we're gonna put this way, right? Because it's kind of shaped like a little cone or something. So the top one goes there, and then on top of the top one you place your final piece, which again, don't lose this. And what I did with this actually is I cleaned the inside of it. I don't know if yours will be similar and have this little kind of plastic cap on the inside, or plastic housing on the inside. I'm talking about this piece, the off-color, kind of creamy color piece. It actually goes on the inside, and it's plastic in there to allow it to slide up and down on the rod easily. So once you're done with all of this, what you can do, oops, not that. So what you can do is press this down here, and it should pop in there. Okay. If it doesn't pop in easily, again, you could go under here, loosen that screw or that thing again. It'll give you more wiggle room on the brake. If you could see here, there's actually, you hear that? That's because it's loose. The brake on this, there's some play. You see this? Like, these are moving around easy. So we're gonna give it a little bit of a tighten. A little bit, that seems, I could feel it. And now look at that. Now this is shaking here. Give it a little bit more of a tighten. So now it's good. It's good. There's no wiggle room on the brake. What we're gonna do is mount it up. It's all done. What we're gonna do is maybe not mount it up. We're gonna plug it in. We're gonna calibrate it. I'll show you how that's done. And then we'll be putting it back, and then we'll be done. That's how you mod the T-LCM pedals. Sorry for the long video, anyway. But I hope some of you will find benefit and enjoy this setup, because it is nice. It is really nice, even though it's annoying. This is a very nice setup for braking feel. And the braking feel remains the same. It remains consistent, even though this bushing was actually falling apart. So even though this was falling apart and dying, up until its last little bit, I felt every part of the brake and I didn't have any issues. The reason why I actually am replacing them now is because I saw it broken. I saw this rubber bushing kind of hanging out, right? In the beginning of the video, you saw that. So that's the only reason why I changed it. The brakes felt fine. I was just racing on that bushing yesterday. Imagine that completely popped out. Then I would have really weird braking. I would still be able to brake, but the brake pedal would be much more far forward, right? And I would have a lot of play, because if this is just taken away, suddenly, you know, the brake is going to have a lot more play than that. You're going to hear these two bushing, or these two washers slapping against each other here and whatever. So it can be a nuisance, but it can be an amazing thing for those who want a cheap mod that feels great. It feels really, really good. Try it. It's good. Try it. Seriously, it's good. Try it. These parts are cheap. They're so cheap. You could buy one of these. It's like $10. It'll last you the entire year. These bushings. You'll be able to replace it twice in a year with one of these packages. And maybe more if you decide to use the smaller bushings. But I figured out my thing is using 2 large, 1 medium. Use whatever you want. We have our pedals plugged in now. We're gonna calibrate what I'm talking about here. That's me, hello. So if we look here, let me bring the mouse here. We could see that my braking force is at 95. That's where I like it. You can crank it up to 100, 90, whatever you want. Anyway, that allows you to get there. If we could see, there's no brake pressure being applied, which is good. But if there was, then that means you have this a little bit too tight, that bottom screw, okay? As we apply braking pressure, we're gonna make sure it works. Great. Great, it's actually pretty good. I don't know if I'm gonna tighten it much more. Great for trail braking, great for trail braking. You can just barely touch it. But yeah, the pedal, let's see how far it actually moves. Obviously my foot is going to have a lot more capable force. My hand is not going to be able to push it nearly as much. But you could see, and it's not mounted to anything, so I'm like using my knee to keep it stable, but you could see the bushings compressing nicely. I could put a lot more force on this, obviously. It goes up to 100 kilograms, so I don't know. How much was I even pushing? There. Oh my god. Only like halfway. This is like half of the force. 200%. So, yeah. Again, it's not mounted. I'm not that strong, too. So, yeah, that's how you would calibrate it. If you are getting a little bit of pressure like this, you could do one of two things. You could either add a little bit of a... this is a dead zone, so you could add that dead zone. If you have like a little bit of pressure up to here, right? Just so you're not like hitting that braking on the right, because this is what's actually being input in the game, the one on the right, and this is the physical load cell, what it's outputting. We might increase that a little bit. I do tend to rest my foot against the pedal, and maybe once it's loaded up and everything, it'll be different, but maybe a dead zone, a little bit of a dead zone, but it's better to be a little bit more tight. It's better to be a little bit more tight on the bottom of this than too loose, in my opinion, because the bushings, maybe they'll start to wear down a little bit, and then you'll start to have pedal play. You're gonna have to tighten it anyway in a little bit. So a little bit tighter is better than looser. That's the motto I live by. I hope this video was helpful. Check out my other videos if you want to see anything else that might be helpful to you. If you feel like subscribing, do it. Like this video, honestly, just it would help the algorithm a lot. You guys know that. So if you did find this useful, that would be nice. Maybe it would go to someone else and help them if you give it a like, but I'm just gonna stop talking now, so, and put this back. Okay, pedals are put away, and my tools are put away. No, they're not. And yeah, everything's good to go. So let's see how this performs in a race.